Hey guys, I am Crystal Hardy and I'm here for my video discussion. For my video, we're going to talk about the Scopes trial of 1925. I thought this was a really interesting case, especially because I'm a teacher. I teach world history, moving on to U.S. history this year, but even though it deals with a science teacher, we kind of have the same thing when we teach world history because we also have to teach religions, but we have to be careful how we teach them, that we don't try to persuade kids, but we give them facts. So this kind of just spoke to me a little bit because I deal with this in my personal life. But the Scopes trial of 1925 is a dramatic courtroom showdown that ends up being a national symbol of the conflict between religious fundamentalism and modern scientific thought. Though it was the trial was thought to be just about a single teacher in the state law, it sparks one of your most iconic battles in American cultural history, and its effects are still felt today. Like I said, we still have to, be careful about how things are taught in school today, specifically public schools. So, in early 1925, Tennessee is going to pass the Butler Act. The Butler Act prohibits teaching that humans evolved from lower life forms. That's just meaning how we teach evolution where we come for monkeys or apes or that sort of thing. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU for short, is going to offer to fund a legal challenge, and the town of Dayton sees this as an opportunity for publicity. So when we talk about this case, it's kind of weird because yes, it's a true legal case because you have the people involved. There is like a conviction, but it was all kind of put on to test the legal system and to see how things were going to pan out. So yes, it is a true case, but a lot of the things are kind of made up within it. Like the teacher volunteered to be the defendant. But I'll get into that in a minute. So the teacher that we're going to talk about is John T. Scopes. He is a 24-year-old high school teacher and coach. He specifically teaches math, and he did not teach science on a regular basis. He did fill in for a science teacher when that science teacher was sick. So it is possible that he may have taught evolution while he was there. He's going to agree to be charged, even though he wasn't sure that he actually taught evolution. The trial is real, but also partly staged to attract all of the attention, hence why Dayton was like, yeah, we'll take this on. All right, so what makes it explode into national headlines? It's the star power in the courtroom. So on one side, you have Clarence Darrow. He's an agnostic defense attorney, an outspoken critic of religious dogma. So he is a huge, really good lawyer that's going to help bring national attention. On your other hand, you have William Jennings Bryan. This is a fundamental Christian, former Secretary of State, and 3-time presidential candidate. His boldest move was calling Bryan to the witness stand to question his literal interpretation of the Bible. Their verbal sparring is going to end up being front page news, so brings a lot of attention to the small town. So your trial is one of the first to be broadcast on national radio and reported by journalists around the world. So again, this wasn't just some small trial that nobody heard of. This ended up blowing it up into something much bigger. The press, particularly like the New York Times and the Washington Post, are going to portray the fundamentalists as anti-intellectual. In July 1925, the Washington Post editorial describes the trial as a collision between ancient belief and modern reason. Meanwhile, your local Southern papers are going to defend Bryan's stand for biblical truth. Your coverage only deepens the divide between rural religious America and the urban educated elite. So, what is the outcome of this trial? Who wins? Is it evolution? Is it religious beliefs? The teacher ends up being found guilty for teaching evolution, which was not supposed to be allowed in schools at this point, and they fine him $100, though that verdict is going to be overturned later on in technicality. The real outcome isn't the legal outcome. That's not what everybody was looking for. It was the cultural outcome. So as Edward Larson writes in Summer for the Gods, the trial symbolized a major shift in American values and marked a retreat of fundamentalism from mainstream cultural leadership. After that trial, fundamentalists are going to withdraw from public life. They're going to form separate institutions like Bible colleges and radio ministries that would later feed into the rise of monocle evangelicalism. So today, the Scopes trial still does matter. Like I said, we as teachers, not in just our science area, it affects us. Debates over evolution haven't gone away. In places like Kansas, Texas, and Pennsylvania, a lot of school boards are clash over whether to teach creationism or intelligent design alongside evolution. The question of how to balance religious conviction with science education is going to continue to divide communities. The Scopes trial is going to help define that boundary, and we are still negotiating that. When we go to private schools, they're allowed to teach that stuff, but when we go to public schools, you have to be very aware of who is in your community, who has certain beliefs, and you can't go against that because it is a public institution. Ultimately, your trial is more than a media circus. It's a mirror of a deeper American struggle. Who has the authority to find truth? Is it religion, science, or the public? That's a question that we still wrestle with today, nearly a century later. Thank you all for watching. I hope it gave you a little bit deeper look at how a small town trial becomes a national turning point. And I can't wait to see your thoughts on the discussion board about this trial. And if any of you guys have had any situations where you've dealt with something similar to this.